Hey book readers! This February I decided to challenge myself to something I'm calling Celeb-ruary. Because during the month I read 6 books written by movie stars, screen legends, and famous athletes. Not written about them, written by them. These are famous folks who took pen to paper, and some of the books are surprisingly good, while others not so much. So let's get into it. First up is Uncommon Type by Tom Hanks. You may know him from Forrest Gump, Philadelphia, Saving Private Ryan, or Castaway. He's America's dad and just a genuinely likable guy. Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks?
The short stories that Tom Hanks writes in Uncommon Type clearly draw a lot from his real-life movie experiences, his childhood memories, and his personal interests.
Well done!
A few of the short stories include a relationship that morphs the man into someone he has no interest in becoming, a Christmas with kids and catching up during an annual call with a war buddy, and a beautiful world-famous actress on a press tour with her up-and-coming love interest, promoting their blockbuster movie that pokes fun at the over-the-top luxurious lifestyle and personal drama of movie stars. There's a sci-fi story about a casual trip to space, and there's this typewriter that pops up in pretty much every story, trying to create some kind of thematic element throughout the entire book. Unfortunately, it felt forced or planned in some way, trying to tie everything together in this random, messy combination of stories. I'm giving Hanks' short stories 3 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Shame. Now, here's my 2 cents about great short stories. They have high peaks and low valleys. Hanks' short stories are fairly flat. And what I mean by that is the drama, action, suspense, or whatever feeling or idea is moving the story along doesn't move the needle enough in Tom Hanks' stories. They're super mellow, and to me, there's hardly anything memorable about a milquetoast short story. Also, many of the short stories just kind of peter out. There's no real conclusion, no satisfying ending or cliffhanger that leaves you wanting more. They all just kind of stop abruptly. Next up is Mycroft, Holmes by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You may know him as an NBA and NCAA basketball champion, Hall of Famer, or Roger Murdoch from the movie Airplane.
You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
So I went in thinking this was a book for kids, a book aimed at kids. It was maybe the book cover that did it, or the fact that a 7'2" basketball legend was the author. Either way, after the first chapter, I immediately realized I was totally wrong. It starts off with an eerie scene of children mysteriously dying and being drained of their blood. Not exactly the stuff young kids should be reading. Then we meet a young 20-something-ish Mycroft Holmes, who is early in his career in a government post, but already well known for his skills in observation and memory. His introduction is like something out of an action movie. He's placed a large bet on the Cambridge rowing team to beat the Oxford rowing team, even though Cambridge has lost 9 years in a row. But he does something to help the Cambridge team out. I won't say what exactly. And soon he's being chased on horseback by a mob of angry Oxford fans. So I'm giving this one 2 thumbs up. What's especially nice is how all the major characters are fully developed with complex backstories, skills, and motivations. Mycroft is this 23-year-old genius with a perfect memory, but his love for his lady friend has kind of hampered his skills and focus a bit. Bonus, we do get to momentarily see Sherlock as a teenager in school, and Mycroft, who is Sherlock's brother, wonders if Sherlock's exceptional mind will propel him to greatness or drive him to madness. The other main character is Douglas, who may be the best in the novel. He serves as Mycroft's version of Watson, a sidekick who asks Mycroft the questions the reader would want to ask. Chiefly, how did you come to that conclusion? But Douglas is so much more than that. He's a business owner, proficient martial artist, and just a really intelligent guy. He's older and wiser than Holmes, and no stranger to how painful life can be. Douglas is also self-aware, realizing how the color of his skin affects how others view him. In the end, this book balances the perfect amount of mystery and action for me. There aren't 150 suspects or anything like that that's really overwhelming. It's a steady progression toward the solution with a complex historical setting adding weight to the plot. The third celebrity book I read was Postcards from the Edge by Carrie. You probably know her as Princess Leia, the royal from Alderaan who momentarily had the hots for her brother.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
This semi-autobiographical book is a self-deprecating look at the quirks and over-the-top lifestyle of actors and actresses. It makes light of Fisher's own struggles with substance abuse and her difficulty maintaining relationships. This book also touches on the intricacies of motherhood and the evolution of relationships. Unfortunately, in my eyes, this novel was a flop. It's dialogue heavy with a casual tone that does create an excellent off-the-cuff sound. However, the voice also comes across as annoying at times. The narrator doesn't seem like someone I'd really want to hang out with. There's still plenty of good writing in it, but overall it comes across as someone trying too hard to be clever. Next up is When It Happens to You by Molly Ringwald. You may know her as the face of the 80s, with movies like 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, and Pretty in Pink coming out in back-to-back-to-back years.
Just want to let them know that they didn't break me.
This is another book of short stories with many of the same characters connecting them together. It focuses on the relationship between parents and children, marital problems, and dealing with kids who are biologically one gender but identify as another. Yet again, there was some decent writing, but the stories didn't grab me. To be fair, I'm probably not the right audience for this type of book. Real-life drama isn't exactly my sweet spot. So I think if this was a movie rather than a book, and I was scoring it on Rotten Tomatoes, it would get 60%. At least that's what I'd expect to see. It's right on the cusp of being worth reading. If the subject matter or the author herself interests you, go for it. If not, you probably don't need to bother. I also read Deadly Game by Michael Caine. You may know him as Batman's butler, the lying professor in Interstellar, or Austin Powers' dad.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Let me start off by saying this is the most British of British crime thrillers. It's about Harry Taylor, a police detective who doesn't play by the rules. He's put on the case to track down the whereabouts of a box with some kind of radioactive material in it that was reported in a trash dump and then just vanished. So I waved the white flag on this one when I was 75% done. I just couldn't do it. There's definitely an audience for this kind of book where government agencies and evil global power players go toe-to-toe playing hide-and-seek with uranium, but I'm not that audience. My eyes glazed over with this book's fusion of crime jargon, Britishisms, the complexities of it, and all the conspiracies. It was just too much. I'm sure Michael Caine's a wonderful man. He's an extremely talented actor. The proof is in the Muppet Christmas Carol pudding.
You keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
However, the genre he chose for this book just isn't my jam, or tea, or scones, or clotted cream, whatever British people do. Sure, it's a suspenseful, fast-paced read, which usually appeals to me, but the plot gets convoluted sooner rather than later, bogging my brain down in a fog of criminal terms and evildoers applying things without ever physically speaking them out loud. I don't usually need to be bashed over the head with information that helps me keep track of the story, but truthfully, I could have used my handheld during this book. So I hate to be a Scrooge about it,
Humbug.
but I'm glad this book is in my past, never to be dredged back up by a Christmas ghost. And last but not least is Magic and Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. You may know him as the kid doctor from that early 90s TV show, or the egocentric womanizer from that show about mothers, or if you're truly an unfortunate soul, the guy from the Smurfs movie.
Legendary!
So the first thing I'll say, which will help frame the discussion for the rest of this book, is that it's probably meant for 7 to 10-year-olds. This gets pretty obvious pretty quickly, as NPH has to stop and define words throughout the book. It goes without saying that this was a super fast, super basic read. It's a story of a talented orphan boy in search of a family, and a way to use his sleight of hand skills without stealing, to use them for good. There's a carnival in town with some of the carnies trying to pull off a diamond heist, and the boy and his newfound friends are the only ones who can stop it. There's not really much more to say about this book. You probably can figure out exactly how the story goes without even reading it. What I really did like was how Neil Patrick Harris sprinkled a few how-tos in the book, so kids could learn some simple magic tricks to pull off. It was a fun extra element. And I'll also say that this would be a good book to read with your elementary school school-age kid if you have one, but it's probably not advanced enough for most adults' reading palettes. There you have it. Celeb-ruary 2024 is in the books. If you know any other books written by famous people, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy reading.